Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my playthrough of The Great Crisis of Frederick II from Vuca Simulations. In the last part we saw the Prussians start to take over spaces from Saxony and up here as well, but now the Austrian chits are in the cup, so they get a chance to get involved. One mistake I did, which I mentioned in the last video, is you cannot restore depleted units that are in enemy spaces. And technically this was still an enemy space because there was a siege going on. I shouldn't have restored the unit, but I think in the end it didn't make a lot of difference. The other thing is that I forgot to adjust the resource spaces track, because Frederick did indeed take over Leipzig, and that is a resource fault, so we should have adjusted that. So let's do that now. So down on the track here, here's the Prussian chit, so it goes up one, and the sort of total Prussian Alliance chit goes up one, so we're off. So we're ready for turn 2. As you saw in the last video, the Austrian chits went into the cup, as did the turn end marker. As you know, if you play these sort of games with the chit pool and it has a turn end marker in it, we can have some very short turns, but that adds to the fun and unpredictability and replayability of the game. So we'll shake them up, see what we get, and we get, oh, the Prussians again. Right. So looking at the procedure of phase, if you remember, first we check lines of communication. Now I think I mentioned it in the last video, but it's in the rules it says from resource spaces, and I was saying to resource spaces. I'm not sure if it makes a difference, but that's what it says in the rules. So from the resource spaces, I think everything is okie dokie. Yeah. So we roll for resource points. Ah, 5 plus 2. If you remember, they get a +2 to their action point total. 7. So we cannot restore this depleted unit as it is in an enemy controlled space. We could restore that and that. We've got enough. We've got to pay for this siege. Again, what I'm forgetting about is the Swedes up here. We may need to take care of those as the Prussians. So we actually may divert Leowalt up to sort that out. So it's 1 for this to carry on with the siege, 1 to recover that unit there. I think we'll recover that unit, so that's 1, 2, 3. So let's do that. We'll pay for those. 1, 2, 3. We'll recover this unit. It has one of these on it, which says it cannot, not picking these up too well, cannot march. And 1 up here. There we go. I think I'll keep Frederick there. I could move them into here, and actually if I moved them into Dresden, they would become part of that besieging force, because I believe when enemy troops move into a besieging space, it gets sort of activated for combat, and the besieging side doesn't have to pay that action point. But I think we'll keep him there. I think though we will move Leowalt, excuse me, and we can move, we go this way, we can move 2, we go this way, we can only move 1. We will take that over though. Want him to get up and look at the Swede situation. So we'll move 1, 2. That's another action point. 3 left. We will move another 2. 1, 2. We can pick that one up. And then we're going to use another action point and 1, 2 and attack Sweden. So it's just going to be the siege at Dresden and Leopold attacking Hamilton up there. Right. Fight battles. Let's do the siege at Dresden. There we are. Doesn't look good for Rutowski there on his Todd. But he throws first and gets a +2. Oh, look at that. That's 6. That gets depleted. Bevan, now only throws 6. And just to remind you, cannot use his bonuses because they're besieging. 6. Oh, crikey. Nothing. So that's delaying Bevan. The Prussians want him to move south. Oh, there we go. Back to the map. So there we are. Rutowski's slowly chipping away at Bevan's forces. He now has 2 depleted units, which he can't do anything about. Can't recover them. Okay. We're up here. And we'll see how Leopold does against Hamilton. Okay, we're off to Stralsund. So here we are, ready for the battle. Both commanders evenly matched, but of course Hamilton is vastly outnumbered. So they could retreat. It's awkward because the only place they can retreat onto, the Swedes, is the off-map box, and only 1 unit at a time can move on to that. So I'm not quite sure how that works, but we'll think about that later. For now, we'll have a field battle. This isn't an in-depth tactical analysis. This is me having fun and showing you how the game works. So both sides can use their bonuses, and Hamilton goes first, so here we go. 4 dice with a +1. Oh. 1 hit. Now it's Leopold. 4 dice first with the +1. Oh dear, oh dear. Look at that. 3 hits. So now this one throws just on its own with a 6. Oh, no. Hamilton is the only one that can attack. 1 die with a +1. No, dear. And we're back here. 4. +1. Oh, not looking good. 2 hits. Hamilton gets depleted. Oops. And 1 is removed to the unit reserve. This one. No. Hamilton, of course, can now not attack and decides to retreat. But as I said earlier, because it's an off-map box, and that's the only space they can retreat to, only 1 at a time can do that. So Hamilton is going to retreat, but that will cost them 1 action point to be paid back later on. So I'll move that up on the action point track. And he gets back off to Sweden, depleted. These two can't attack, so it is now back to Leowalt. I think that's how it goes. This is an unusual situation. If I'm not doing this right, let me know. I may have missed it in the rules, but these can't attack, so it's now Leowalt 4 with a +1. Oh, crikey. Talk about overkill. And these have gone and go back to join the other one. The unit reserve. They get turned over to their full strength and they may be able to come back on later on in the game. There we go, Leowalt was successful. Okay, back to the map. There we are. Leowalt is in Stralsund, up here. There's Hamilton reduced. The only saving grace, I think, is that this off map box is actually a resource space. So during the winter months, he might be able to put some of his men on there, and later on during the war, if Stralsund gets cleared by maybe the Russians, which will be coming in and maybe moving up here, the Swedes can come back into the fight. But there we go. I think that's it. Next part of the phase is remove recovery markers. So we can remove, these markers from the units. There was one over here. There we go. And that can go back on, whoops, back on the stack there. Marks control of spaces, done that because I'm cheeky. Checks if he may draw tactics cards. Well, yep. Up the top there, of course. On our battle with the Swedes, the Prussians gain control of that resource fort and can take a card. We're getting quite a collection. So let's see what we get this time. Ooh, oblique attack. At the start of a battle. In the second round of battle, double the damage you deal. Nice, but again, it's got to be quite a good commander to use it. Okay, and I forgot, that's a resource fault. We've got to change the resource spaces track yet again. So, Prussians move up another one, as does the total of the Alliance. Crikey. We're now ready for the second phase of turn 2. Back in a mo. So here we go with the next phase. And yes, nearly made a mess up here when we were attacking Sweden. I thought we could move 2 spaces, but of course both spaces have got to be under the friendly units control. And they weren't, of course, because Sweden had it. But it was all right. I had enough action points, as I said in the video. Right, here we go. Next chit. And it is Austria at last. So they check their lines of command. Austria there, they look okay. Right, so now we throw 4 action points. Oh, thank goodness as well. 6, because they have to pay back 3 of them. So 6, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Just the 3 left. Recovers. No, nothing to recover. So they move their forces. What are they going to do? I don't think we want to move any of the Holy Roman Empire at the moment. How many we got there? We've got 7 and 7. Plus their leaders, they're full units, full stacks rather. So they could move. Excuse fingers. 1, 2 for 1 action point. And then, yeah, why not? Let's give it a bit of payback. 2, 3. And have a huge battle here. That's their action points used up. 1, 2, 3. So, time for a big battle. There we go. Onto the battlefield. So, here we are. We've got a large battle about to commence. But the Prussians could retreat. I don't know. They could. They could also put one of their units into the fort. Only one because it isn't a resource space. But no! Let's have a battle. So, Moritz can use his +1 on 4 of his units, including himself. Piccolomini can do the same. He's a 1-4 commander, so 4 of those can have a +1. But Charles of Lorraine, has a tactical rating of 0, which can affect 8. Don't know what that's all about. Anyway, let's get on with the battle. Defenders go first. Moritz goes first. He's throwing 4 dice to start with a +1. No. Nothing. And now just 1. Needs a 6. No. Okay. Piccolomini, 4. At +1. Nothing. But now throws 4. And has to throw 6s. Oh! Gets a hit. Charles can throw 8. But has to get 6s. He doesn't have any bonus to add on. So 8 dice. You probably tell why I'm laughing. Eight dice. And nothing. It's going to be a long one, boys. So, back to Moritz. 4 dice. +1s. Oh, look at that. Gets a couple of hits. There we are. Back to Piccolomini. Throws 4 dice. +1. No. Crikey. And now just 2 dice. No. Okay, it's up to you, Charlie. 8 dice. No bonus though. Ah. Nothing there, but 3 6s. Go Charles. And that means either Moritz throws 1 dice on his own or he retreats. I think we better retreat. Now the boot's on the other foot because they have got to use one of these and pay for it on tick. And I'll put that on the action point track. There we go. Success for the Austrians. Back to the map. There we are. The Austrians take control of the fort. And Moritz is back licking his wounds with his depleted army. Next, removes recovery markers from units. Well, they didn't have any. Next, marks control of spaces by placing a control marker. Well, there we go. Here's one for the Austrians. It's not a resource fault though, unfortunately. But for the last bit, checks if he may draw tactics cards. Yes, because they've actually fulfilled two of the conditions to get a card. They control a fort space and they won a field battle. But unfortunately, they can only take one card per space. So let's see what they get. It is, forest. Condition. In an enemy's phase at the start of a battle. +1 to die rolls for the battle. Excellent. This bonus can be used in addition to the commander and or fort bonuses. Sorry, it's not quite in focus there. I don't know what's the matter with my camera or my phone. But look, it needs only a 1 tactics commander to use. So that's good for the Austrians. So that's it. Time to draw another chit. Here we go. Not looking, not looking. And it is. Oh, it's the turn end. That's the end of the turn. So we move to the turn end sequence. Return used and discarded tactics cards to your decks. No. Respond to any events. And check if victory conditions have been met. No. Slide the turn marker along to indicate the start of the next turn. And return all action chits to the cup and add the chits from the current turn track box, if any. Right, let's have a look. Oh, that was better. Right, there we go. No chits to add, but we can see this sort of darker shaded space. That's December, and in December it's winter and something different happens. So let's do that. Right, here's the winter turns. It says use cards. Now some can only be used in winter, and the only one that the Prussians have got is the Scorched Earth. But, you know, I don't think we'll use that. Not yet. Transfer commanders. Right, for each nation this is. Not alliance. 1 commander is drawn randomly from the commander reserve box and transferred to the unit reserve box. So we'll do Austria first. Austria has some down here, as you can see. So we'll take, not quite, there we are, right over there. So we'll take these, we'll give them a shuffle up in my hand, and we'll take one. And we get Haddock. And that goes there. The rest go back. The Holy Roman Empire don't have any extras, nor does Saxony or Sweden. So, Britain and Prussia. So here's the Brits. Let's zoom in a bit. That better. So I've got the Brits. Give them a shake up. And we get Granby, who we'll place over here. Put the rest back. Russians, they've got a lot. He says not being able to pick them up. Yeah. Right. Here we go. Zeiten. 2-4. He goes over there. And the rest go back. Just the Russians. Where are they? Oh, there they are. And the Russians get Rumyantsev. Oh dear. Another 1-4 goes there. And they go back. Excuse my arm. Right. That's all the commanders. What's next? Mobilization and recovery. On winter turns, each nation can transfer available units from their reserve, that's what I was saying, onto the map from the unit reserve. The Austrian Alliance does it first. The number of units a nation can transfer equals the number of resource spaces they control. And in the errata it says the number of units a nation can transfer equals the number of unbesieged resource spaces they control. And that's what I said, you know, you want to get these sieges out of the way, because look, and that is, whoops, I think that's Saxony, isn't it? Yeah. And when you transfer them, they've got to go to the same nation and have a line of communication to the same nation. Right. So Austria. Oh, before we do that, I'm cutting in. I forgot to do France. So we do the French commander pick now. I think I mentioned it again, but the transfer commanders phase, and incidentally the next one, mobilization and recovery, can be done for all nations, even if they've not entered the war. So we'll take those. We'll give them a shuffle. I'll pick one out, and it is Clermont, and he goes there. Right, the rest go back. And we resume normal service with the Austrians, I believe. Austria, as we can see from the resource spaces track, have 5. There we are. So 5 we can take. So we'll take, do we need units or commanders? Well, I suppose we could bolster up these here. So we'll take a couple of commanders and 3 of the soldier units. Only 1 unit can transfer to a non-resource space, and a maximum of 2 units can transfer to a resource space that is not under siege. So we'll pop Lacey, who is a 2-4 commander, here, and we'll have a unit and a commander, although they're all called units, but Haddock got 2 left. I'll pop one over here and one here that we can move up just in case. Okay, next in the Austrian Alliance is Saxony, but they are under siege, and it says, as I say in the errata, got to be unbesieged, so they don't get anything. Sweden, I believe, because they do have a resource space on their off-map box here, can put 1 unit up the top. I believe that's right. So they're starting to build their forces up again, excuse me. Holy Roman Empire has only the 1 resource spot down here, and all they have is a leader. So we'll pop him up there in Cologne. We'll do Prussia next. Prussia has 7 resource units according to the track over there. So we'll take a couple of the units, excuse fingers, a couple of the leaders, commanders, and 5 of the other units. So one, 2, 3. Well, we'll pop one there to bolster him. We'll pop a leader and a soldier unit there. I think we'll start to strengthen up down here. We'll pop a leader here, a unit here, and a unit here, and they can hopefully move down as time goes on. And one up in Berlin, I think. Right, Great Britain and Hanover. 5. 3 in the box, whoops, and a couple here. So we'll take Granby and 4 other units. And we'll put Granby and a unit in Hamburg. And then one here, and one with Cumberland. Well, actually, we'll put that one with Cumberland and put 2 because it's a resource space. Okay, France. France has 3 resource spaces, as you can see, so we can take 3 units. We'll take Clermont and a couple of soldier units, and these are already stacks of 8, so we're going to take one of those off and put Clermont on there, and we'll pop one there for 2 and one here. There we are. Russians. And they have 4 from their resource spaces over here. So we can take 4 units. We'll take the leader, the commander, 3 other units, and that's easy. Now it's 4. And we can only pop them on there. So there we go. That's them done. Right, next is winter depletion. And it says, roll a die for each unit on an enemy controlled space you are besieging. Each unit? Well, that's old Bevan over here. For each isolated unit, subtract 1. Well, thank goodness we haven't got any isolated units. For every 1 or 2 a unit takes damage. Damage is applied the same way as battles. Right, and if I read the clarifications correctly, each type of unit has to roll separately. So we've got a leader here, commander. So he rolls, and on a 1 or 2 he gets depleted. No. Next, the normal units. How many we got there? 5. 5 dice. 1s or 2s. Oh no. Nothing there, but 2 of them get depleted. Excuse fingers as always. There we are. Now we roll for these 2 depleted units, and if they throw 1s or 2s, they get eliminated. Right. 2 dice. No, we're fine. Thank goodness. So we've ended up with 4 depleted units there. That's what I say. Get these sieges out the way, because during winter can be catastrophic. So the last part of the winter turn is discard and draw, and that's to do with the tactics cards. And it says you draw cards depending on the number of resource spaces you control. So we'll do the Austrian Alliance first. Count the controlled resource spaces of all your armies currently in the war. So currently in the war for the Austrians is Austria, Sweden, Saxony and the Holy Roman Empire. Austria has 5 resource spaces, poor old Saxony don't. Sweden has one right up the top there. So that's 6. And the Holy Roman Empire has one just off map here. So that's 7. Halve this number, rounding down. So that's 3.5, 3. This is the limit up to which you will draw cards. So they've got a total of 3 they can have. Before drawing, tactics cards can be discarded. Well, they've only got the 1. So I think they'll keep that. If we had more than 3, we would have to discard. And now we draw up to our hand size, which is 3. So we can draw 2 cards. Let's have a look. 1, 2. First one is, it's a rapid advance for the Austrians. We've seen that one. Add 2 action points to your total. And higher ground condition in an enemy's phase at the start of a battle. And the effect is to nullify all surprise attack or cavalry charge cards used by your enemy in the battle. Good. But has to be used by a commander with a tactics value of 2 or more. So they don't need to discard. That's them done. We do the same for the Prussian Alliance, but it's only Prussia at the moment that's actually in the battle. And Prussia have 7 resource points again. So we halve that and round down, and that's 3. So they can only have 3 cards. So it looks like we've got to discard some cards because we've got a handful and we haven't used them. So what we would do, we would discard as many as we want and draw up to 3. I think that's how it goes. If by chance I've got it wrong, let us know. But it does say controlled resource spaces of all your armies currently in the war. But I won't do that. I think we're coming to the end of the video and also the end of this sort of mini playthrough. I don't know what you think. I think this is great fun. And as I said before, the quality of the components is top-notch. Pleasure to play with. So I hope this has been of use and you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I'm actually going to continue this after I stop filming and try and crack on with the campaign. So this has been part 2 of a sort of mini playthrough of The Great Crisis of Frederick II by Tetsuya Nakamura. If you've enjoyed the video and it's been of help, please subscribe. Push the like button of the video and the bell, that'll tell you when I upload other videos. Leave a comment by all means. I'm bound to have made some mistakes as per normal, but it's been great fun. And as always, a big thank you to my subscribers. Thank you very much. Oh, one last thing before I go. If you're still watching, I've signed up to buymeacoffee.com because, as you know, this hobby does cost a lot of coffees. So if you really like what I do, you can pop along there, buy me a coffee, and that'll help me to keep going and to do this YouTube malarkey, which I love. You'll find where to go in the description. So thanks for that. Right. So until the next time, you take care and be safe, and goodbye.